Well, hello there, YouTube. We are here with my first sort of impressions, quote-unquote review, if you want to call it that, of Digimon Alysion. I was really lucky to be one of the few selected for the open beta. So again, huge thank you to Bandai for opening up this game to the community, giving us sort of a first glimpse as to what they have in store for us. This project has been heavily anticipated by all of us within the TCG community, and to finally have it in our hands and be able to test it out, be part of the process of bringing this to both new and old players has been really fun. By the time this video goes up, the open beta is closed. I don't believe we've had an official release date yet for the game, but I'm super excited to actually have it in its full version whenever they do choose to release it. And the beta itself, like I said, I had a really fun time playing it. This video is going to really touch over sort of my first impressions, try to give you guys a little bit of a glimpse as to, some of the key parts to the game itself. I did record some initial footage of my initial reactions, which maybe I'll try to either splice into this video or release at another time. But I wanted to put this out here just because I know a lot of us didn't have access to the beta, and like I said, I was really lucky to get in, and I wanted to at least help give you guys who didn't get in a quick taste of the beta, kind of give you again my thoughts of how it all went and what my experience was, and maybe give you all sort of like a viewpoint as to what I felt like worked, maybe some things that I felt may hopefully get improved as they do a little bit more cleaning up and fine-tuning. But without further ado, I'm gonna stop yapping over here and kind of let's just delve into the game itself, right? So the UI I thought was really clean, right? So you're gonna see here we do get like sort of daily tasks, and part of that is like competing in battles, opening packs, yada. You get a daily free pack, so we're gonna just dive right in and open a pack together. Your daily pack basically could be of anything between like BTs 1 to BT 3. Each BT set will give you like these new Alysion specific cards that weren't released in the physical TCG. But this is sort of the UI for opening cards itself. The sort of like that one is a rare or an uncommon typically, and then your foil cards have a little bit more of that like shiny gleam to it. So again, the UI I thought was really clean. They do a pretty decent job of not putting like crowding the card with a lot of text. So usually in game, the actual card itself doesn't have a lot of text. You can click on it, you'll get your sort of abilities and inheritables there. And like I said, I think the card UI was pretty clean. You can, like if you have a lot of the same card or a lot of bulk, for example, you can disassemble and gain sort of resources, energy, whatever you want to call it, so that you can open up more packs and whatnot. You get to pick a card here. I chose the Pro Tag here in Kanata over here, but you can basically choose any card you want in your collection and go ahead and change who you want to kind of be on your home screen. I did complete the story mode already. You only get 2 chapters, access to the first 2 chapters of the story, which I thought was pretty cool. Very sort of akin to the Liberator manga, or at least to some degree. So I thought the story was pretty neat. Kind of the first 2 chapters was basically a tutorial on how to play the game. Like I said, you have dailies here that you can kind of complete and gain more resources for. You gain kind of a login bonus here, which I burned through a lot of gems already, but what we'll do is we'll kind of show you what a 10 pack will look like, or 10 pull will look like. So again, you can kind of choose BT1, BT2, BT3. You can kind of see what each set entails, and what I really enjoyed about some of this too was like what they did with the animations there. So you can get different sort of rarities, right? Sort of like we have in the game where you have alt arts and stuff. Some of the boss monsters have that like motion animation to it, which I thought was really cool. For example, we saw Black Zafaga and the Black Terramon, which were new additions, Alysion specific additions to the set, and you kind of have like, for example, right, like Ragna here is sort of like your OG Ragna that we all knew and loved. And you have a lot of old cards mixed in with new cards, which I thought, again, really, really cool. I like how they added a little bit of foiling, texturing, quote-unquote, to some of these cards. So really cool. Like I said, the UI was really clean. I've opened up a lot of BT3 already, so let's go ahead and open up... I want to just do more BT3. Yeah, we'll just do more BT3. Why not? No, we'll do BT2. We'll do BT2. So a 10 pull, you basically get 10 packs, obviously, right? And you get to kind of just go through and open stuff. That's usually a good sign. So yeah, so like I said, these are the commons. These typically are your rares, and then your purple ones typically are your SRs. Oh, nice. Pretty good. And that's the alt art animation. Oh, hell yeah! I already have the circuit board art for the Gallant, so having all fours was pretty neat. I really did miss the circuit board arts for like the original sets, so it's really nice to kind of see these in action again. We'll kind of just speed through the rest of these pulls, but again, you see a lot of the BT1 through BT3 cards, because Alysion, for those of you who don't know, they're not jumping straight into BT22 like we are in the physical TCG. We're basically... Ooh, nice. Machine Digimon. We're basically going to be going into from, like, the very beginning. So even cards, for example, like Hammer Spark, which right now is restricted to 1, is at a 4 of in the game. Same thing with cards like Jack Raid, etc. So it's very much like you're thrown right back into the beginning of the game itself, which some people might like, some people might not like. Oh, another alt art. This is an alt Kari. Nice. 2 alt arts in this 10 pull, which is not... You typically get 1. So having 2 is not bad. I will take that. And last pack has a little something in it. And another Machine Digimon. So nice. So yeah, then you can kind of go through your cards, go through the surplus, whatever it may be, sure. But that's sort of like the basic pull UI, per se. As I said here, task-wise, you can go ahead and, like, pick up things, yada yada, which is pretty neat. Breeding, I still haven't really figured out what breeding is all about, because I haven't really messed around with it, but you get like a little partner Digimon there. Your bag, basically your digital timers help speed up, like if you like, for those of you who play Pokemon TCG Pocket, like the Hourglass, where you can speed up your daily pack openings, you can go ahead and use your clocks with that. Deck editor here is pretty solid. So the SD2 encompasses a lot of the like new Alysion cards, and you can basically go in and, you know, edit as you wish and see fit. I have yet to make my own deck just because I haven't had much time to really like sit down and organize through my cards. But a lot of people are starting to put together like the old OG BT1 through BT3 decks. What we're going to do here now is I'm just going to show you some of the UI for like how the battle system works and whatnot. A lot of what the like dailies encompass are like just random matchmaking, so you can go ahead and play like a random match with somebody online. They connect you with a player and just go ahead and do your thing. So I will apologize for the lag. My phone is old, so I don't think it's a game issue. It's more of a skill issue on my phone's part. But yeah, no, like I said, the UI I think is really clean. We're gonna mulligan that. Looks very similar to Hearthstone. Your security set over here. But yeah, I think overall, like, they've done a really, really good job with the game itself. I think that this has a lot of potential moving forward. I'm curious to see how they clean up some aspects of it. Like, I think some of the design choices and, like, the text or the arts can definitely be worked on to some degree. I think they definitely are a little rough around the edges. Like, for example, with some of the cutscenes and some of the story mode stuff, did feel a little bit bland, personally. Um, but overall, no. I mean, I think it's a really solid beta. And I have a lot of confidence moving forward. Thankfully, we did draw into a rookie. But yeah, like the UI here is very clean. You can kind of go about your hand, kind of see exactly what each card does. And some of the graphics are very clean. Like the Digivolve sort of effect there, really nice. And again, like sort of what I alluded to earlier, right? You do have some like on-play like effects that you can read out, but the card itself is pretty bland, which I think is nice because it doesn't overcrowd things. This is one aspect that I will kind of point out here is that obviously as a mobile game, it is a little bit tough in terms of putting things in different areas, but your tamers do clump up the field. So if you can imagine, if as the game evolves, I'm sure wideboarding is going to become a thing. Having your tamers take the same spot as your Digimon makes it, one, kind of confusing as to where, like, what is what, and two, also makes it very difficult for, like, a wideboard to be possible, because if you have, like, 2 or 3 tamers, multiple bodies, this field, as you can imagine, will get pretty crowded pretty quickly. So that is one thing I'm hoping that they can kind of at least address. But very like nitpicky on my end. Overall, like the gameplay has been very smooth. The mechanics are pretty well queued up for you, so that you don't have to like worry too much about missequencing or missing things. Oh, that's really good for me. Bye bye. So yeah, no, I mean, like I said, I think this game is really well done, really well made so far. The meta being like OG meta, I think definitely helps. Definitely helps with speed and tempo, and definitely is refreshing for a lot of us players, I think, nowadays, with how one could sort of call the meta a little bit. I don't want to say toxic because that's a strong word. But it definitely feels like turn 2, turn 3 OTK, you really can't do much. Here, it definitely feels more akin to when the game first started, and I think for me personally, like, definitely pushes me back to where I fell in love with the game, which is very much a skilled use of the memory gauge system, being able to have this open dialogue with your opponent, going back and forth with resources as well as your Digimon. So it's really nice to kind of go back to that sort of meta. And it's really cool to see. Really cool to see. Like I said, I think they've done a really great job with the game so far, as we can see some of the like battle mechanics going into play. Security checks go smoothly. A lot of tamers come out very smoothly as well. So all in all, I think a really smooth experience. Not a smooth experience for me here, as I am pretty bricked, unfortunately. This is what, a level 5, so that's not even gonna... Ooh. That's tough. That is tough. We end up just... Sure. Why not? Play it off for 2. Go ahead, swing. My guru, he did. So as this game is not looking very good for me, I think this is at least a good illustration of what the game can do, right? I think they, like I said, I can't say this enough. I think they've done a really good job, and the fact that this is still just like a beta version of the game really gives me the confidence that, you know, there's a lot of promise for this moving forward. So I'm excited to see where they take this. I'm very excited to see how this project develops. Because like I said, it'll be nice for, I think the big thing for us is that it's gonna present a very nice way for both new and old players to get into the game again, right? I think this is going to be very good for people who were maybe like a little burnt out with some of like the newer stuff and where the game is at right now competitively. But I also think it's going to be very, very good for new players because this is the basics. This is how we all started playing the game, at least from what I remember. And I think it's going to be really good for people to use this as like a tutorial or a way to like learn about the game, learn about the mechanics, and also just have a way to play. As an alternative way of like not having to buy physical cards too, because a lot of these older cards, with us not being in a sort of a block rotation or a set rotation format, a lot of these older cards are still pretty hard to come by to some degree. So having an alternative way to play the game, I think, is always going to be really cool. And I think it's going to be good for the game to maybe breathe some fresh life, bring some new players in, and make the card game just a lot more accessible. I have a lot of tamers, but I'm in a pretty rough spot. I'm probably going to end up losing it, which, again, I just wanted to show you guys how the mechanics of the game work. And I think it's pretty smooth. Battle goes by pretty smoothly. Effects trigger really nicely. They give you the option to do things pretty easily too. The UI is very easy to navigate, which I think is important. Okay, we are going to lose. But at least what we can do is we're just gonna stay in the back here. And we're gonna say go for, oh, sorry, go forth. But yeah, no, I mean, I think positives, just to kind of summarize it for you guys. I've said a lot about it already. Very smooth UI. I think very good for the future of the game, both from like an old player and a new player perspective. I do like that there's Alysion specific cards that are seeing play, so there's sort of like an incentive for both new and old players to pick it up, because you're gonna have access to cards that aren't in the physical game itself. And I do like that it's just so very self-explanatory. Like this isn't a very complicated game to navigate. The story is pretty simple, straightforward, but also gets the job done. And I like that it's an older meta that slows things down a bit, because again, it's just, I think, good for new players to kind of get a grasp of the rules, get a grasp of how the game works and the game flow, and then they can slowly catch things up as the sets move forward. And I think that plays into the fact that, you know, we have BT 1 through 3 here, and in the physical side of things, we're in BT 22. So that gives a lot of longevity for this game as well, and they can do a lot with how they want to catch up, how they want to diverge, whatever it may be. Some things I would sort of point out about the game is that, again, some of the design choices in the story, which I wasn't really able to highlight here for you, were a bit lacking, and I do think that they'll probably work on cleaning some of that up, would be my assumption here. Just as they do more kind of fiddling and testing with things. I definitely see that getting better. A lot of the level 6s have special moves like that. So like, for example, Wargreymon. Oh, what is that? What does that do? A lot, like, for example, Wargreymon will do like Gaia Force, right? And stuff like that. So they do have some really subtle animations and gimmicks that I think are really cool. But I think some of the like actual like design stuff in the story mode is lacking. I would like a better system at maybe just like collecting and organizing things, because as you kind of go through bulk, you kind of run through the issue of like having to scroll and organize and sort. Having ways to kind of filter stuff out a little bit more effectively, I think, would be a little bit nicer personally. And like I said here, just as you can start to see, my board's starting to get pretty wide, right? Like, this is the problem. in future metas where you can only imagine how crowded, because I keep accidentally exiting the app here, how crowded like the board state can become. So if they can find a way to consolidate that, I think that would be really cool. But all in all, like the experience, like I said, very, very smooth for me. I can't complain at all. And I will say this Yukinamon is busted because they essentially just lets you punch your opponent's Digimon, which I think is crazy. To have access to that constantly is wild. And what do you know? We actually might be able to pull this off. Who would have thought? Who would have thought, chat? But yeah, no, I mean, like I said, the beta itself would have closed by, I believe this video is going to go up on Tuesday. So the beta itself did close as of yesterday evening. No official release date yet, but from what I'm hearing, like it shouldn't be too far down. Like it's not too far out from being officially ready to go. And like I said, the game is already functioning at a level of like this is a product that I'd be like, yeah, like this is well made, ready to go, well developed. Like I think this definitely is well polished as is. And what does that do? That's tough. But yeah, no, I mean the game, like I said, is already functioning at a level that is really good. Oh yeah, I forgot we do unsuspend. We should have this. We should have this. But yeah, no, I mean, as we kind of wrap things up here, as we should be able to just swing for game. I had a lot of fun testing the beta. Hopefully you guys enjoy this quick snippet of what the game is like and what the game brings to the table. Definitely excited to see more of what's to come from this game. Thank you again to Bandai for giving a lot of the players an opportunity to be able to get our hands on this and be able to play this a little earlier, and kind of spread the hype for the game. You know, I think this is something that people should be looking forward to, and I can't wait. I really can't wait to keep playing this and keep messing around with it. So yeah, thank y'all for tuning in. Drop any questions about the game if you have in the comment section down below. I'll do my best to try to respond to it as best I can, and give you a little bit of insight or a little bit of more details on what you may be wondering. So hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. Do check out our socials, which are linked down in the video description below. Sorry for kind of yapping and kind of rambling about, but I just kind of wanted a free ball and just give you guys my first thoughts and kind of knee-jerk reactions. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and hopefully we catch you on that next video. Bye-bye.